Well, good morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal's, and you can probably hear the rain. It's really coming down beautifully. It is a balmy 45 degrees American, 7 degrees Canadian. And what a day yesterday was. You all know about my trip to the passport office, and so you can imagine I was feeling pretty pleased with myself. I think one of the words that we used to use in England was most descriptive of how I was feeling yesterday. And that word was chuffed. I still love that word, C-H-U-F-F-E-D. I was feeling very chuffed with myself because of the whole thing with the passport thing. And I didn't tell you this bit, I don't believe, but it was really amazing. When I got back to the office, I'd been there for about an hour, and suddenly I got a call from the passport office. Well, you know, my heart sank. What didn't I fill in properly? You know, what's wrong? And then this guy said, "This is Vic from the passport office." And for a split second I went, what government worker introduces themselves as "this is Vic from the passport office"? And I thought, how nice. They're getting really customer friendly. And then I thought, no, there was something about that voice tone that was not that official. This was more like, "Hi, this is Sal from here." And I'm going, ah! And I said, "My Vic?" You see, a long time ago, on that same course where I met Benji, different year, there was this great guy, 6 foot plenty, called Vic. And and he just started to laugh and said, "Yeah, that Vic." So that's what made it so funny, because apparently just before then he'd been talking to his colleagues, and for some reason my name had come up, and he was telling them, this lady, incredible lady living here. And the next thing he knows, guess whose application falls onto his desk? And he's going, "This is the lady." Anyway, it was really cute. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty chuffed. I was in a good mood and really happy that things were actually going in the right direction. Busy working away, and suddenly about 3:30, I get a telephone call. And it's from my friend Laurie, who's staying with me, as you know. And this is to tell me that her car has broken down. I just wanted to make sure I got my coffee. Anyway, that her car is broken down, and she's stuck. And she's stuck, and has been stuck for 2 hours. And that she phoned her mother, but her mother hadn't come, and she was stuck. So here's a little moment of compassion for you. I want to imagine, if you can, that you're Laurie. You've just spent 2 days going through moving, and we all know what that does to your mental health. Not only that, but you've got the added emotion of moving into a friend's house because you don't have any money left. And now you're basically seeking charity. And when you're a hard person, that's not easy to do. But certainly a lot better than the alternative. And so you can imagine she was in a pretty fragile state anyway, and now the car breaks down. So I went to my colleague and I said, I need to go and help my friend. And you know, my colleague is also a much loved person in my life. She's a really nice human being. And she immediately went into protection mode. It was so cute. She's saying, well, what if you weren't here? What if you'd been in California or something? How would she cope then? And I looked at her and I said, I don't know, but I'm not. I'm here. And she spent 2 days moving, and she's very fragile, and now the car's broken down. I need to go help my friend. And this went on for probably 5 minutes of that sort of discussion, and words like enabling came up and all sorts of things, and I just didn't take any of it on. You know, people have asked me to do a program on coping, but what I didn't do is take this on. And when it started to get frustrating to me, I said, I really do need to go pee now, and I did. But I guess in the time that I went to go pee, then my colleague thought about what she'd said and asked herself what she would have done if it had been her friend. So by the time I passed her door, I wasn't going to stop in and talk anymore, that's for sure. She called me, and I went in, and she was almost in tears, saying, I'm so sorry. I know you well enough to know that you would do what you need to do for your friends, regardless of the cost. And I said, thank you. I appreciate it. And so anyway, off I went. And I drove my car and parked it close to where hers was. And she was sitting inside, and I want you to imagine this. She'd been sitting there in a cold, wet day. She'd already got drenched when she had to go find a telephone. She had no coat because she was just quickly popping out to go and do something for her son. So she had no coat, she got drenched, she was sitting in the car without any heat. And you know what the temperatures are doing at the moment. And she was chilled to the bone, quite honestly. So, you know, just the fact that I arrived and opened the door was probably enough to cause her to cry. And she held it together. So I sat down and said, okay, let's do this in order. I picked up my phone, and I have BCAA, whatever you call it in your country. I think it's AAA in America, and it's AA in England, but in British Columbia it's called BCAA. And one of the things about BCAA is that I don't actually have to own the car, I can be in the car. And I was technically in the car. So I phoned and explained the situation. And first of all, they sent a battery guy to come and investigate to see whether it was a battery problem. And he investigated it and said, no, it was more serious than that. So we needed a tow truck. Now, with BCAA, I have a top-of-the-line sort of policy. And the reason I have that is because I also have a trailer, as you know, and I don't ever want to get caught in a situation where I'm stuck and need to get that trailer hauled. So I have a policy that basically is not only comes and sorts you up, but also will tow you for like 120 kilometers or something. And I was well within that limit to get Laurie's car towed down to my area. And so while we were waiting for the first guy to arrive, the battery guy, the next most important thing, that's like to say, okay, that's under control. We know it's going to take him at least an hour to get here. So what's the next thing? In my mind, the next thing was to get her warm. So I said, okay, stay here. Because she was in a no parking zone straight in front of a hydrant, and just in case a cop came or whatever, we didn't want to get the car towed. So, well, we did, but not by cop. And so I went off and got us a couple of coffees and a couple of absolutely not on my diet type candy bars. Mr. Big or something, I don't know, with lots of peanuts and sugar and stuff. So then I came back and I got medium-sized coffees because I was pretty sure she'd been sitting there for 2 hours. Her bladder probably was up to her eyelids by now. But anyway, I did get the coffee because I thought at least she could hold it and be warmer. So, and then we sat and we just chatted, and I really tried very hard not to talk about why didn't you, or you know what I mean, all those guilt things. She was already totally embarrassed, and she was already very grateful. And how do I know that? Well, you just have to think about it, people. Wouldn't you be? It's human nature. So, there she was, totally overwhelmed, and had waited 2 hours for her mother to get there, and her mother hadn't arrived, for whatever reason. And so I guess I was like a knight in a shining armor for her. But what I said to her once the guys came with the tow truck and everything, because we first did the battery thing, and then the guy called for a guy with the tow truck. I just said, now the next most important, it's funny how my mind works in steps. I said, the next most important thing is, let's find somewhere where we can pee. Because I know that your water level must be up to your eyelids by now. So we went to the nearest place we could find that had a public toilet, and we went and peed. And then the next step was we went to the local, I actually took her car to the Canadian Tire, which, does pretty reliable stuff, but at a decent price. So what I did was I went there, and then of course she's busy giving all the information about her car, and they say telephone number. Well, she gives mine, of course. And the guy's looking at the screen, and his eyes all scrunched up, and he said, "Are you sure that's the right number?" And then I burst out laughing. I said, "Why? Does it say?" And I gave my name. And he said, "Yes." I said, "That would be me. And this is my friend, and she's staying with me at the moment." "Oh, that's okay then." All right, so that was good. So we don't know exactly what's wrong with the car or how much that's going to cost, but we know it's not just a battery. It could be an alternator and a battery. It could be all sorts of things. So it's going to be an expense, and it's not something I budgeted for, that's for sure, but it's something I will find the money for. And this is where I will talk to you all again. You all know that I have a habit of whenever I put in my paycheck, 10% immediately gets transferred into my savings account. Why? For 3 reasons. 1 is for moments like this. where an emergency comes up and I suddenly need money that I didn't have budgeted. Secondly, it's for the, oh my God, I really need that when I go shopping, you know. And thirdly, whatever's left at the end of the year, or not whatever's left, but I mean, I use it for my Christmas money. Obviously, if there's a lot left, then I don't use it all, but I mean, you know, what I use is at least gives me a running start normally for my Christmas money. So when all this goes down, I'm not in a panic situation because I know I do have probably enough money to get this fixed sitting in my savings account right now without having to go to plan B or C or whatever, which would be lines of credit or something else. But I do know without a doubt that the car needs to get fixed. And so I just wanted to revisit this. What is the difference between enabling somebody and being there for them? And I think there's nothing that I had to do to help her. You've got to look at the alternative. The alternative is that she didn't have the money to have that car towed, or the means. She didn't have coverage, as I did, because she didn't have the money. So her options are to leave the car in the middle of nowhere, just abandon it, and be totally transportless. And that's a good car she's got. When I say it's a good car, I mean it's a second-hand Cadillac that a brother of hers apparently handed down to her. And is it in perfect working order? Not necessarily, but it is a good car. It's a good make. It's a reliable make. It's nothing wrong with that car. But it is a car, and cars have problems, even if you look after them well. So to me, it's not worth throwing that car away. That would be insane for the sake of a battery or maybe a little bit more. So I didn't see that as enabling her at all. I saw that as the practical thing to do. And the sort of thing that, quite honestly, it was the least I could do for her. Now, the other side of it is, am I perfectly aware of the fact that will dent my budget, affect my Christmas money, all those sort of things. Yep. But you know something else? I am very sure that I could tell that story to everybody that I normally give Christmas presents to, and they would just smile and accept the present from the dollar store happily, because those are the sort of friends I've got. It isn't that they won't get a present, it just won't be at that level. So, you guys, do you understand what I could have done with all of this yesterday? I could have totally panicked. I could have gone into victim, why do I have to do this? I could have gone the route of my colleague at work, well, what if you weren't here and somebody else would have to do it? And, all I could think about was a scared human being who already was going through emotional trauma and having this one extra thing hit them at a time when they were extremely vulnerable. And sometimes that's the last straw for people. So, this was a no-brainer in my book. And look what a wonderful day I had had. How wonderful that I gone to the passport office and that they were going to let me have a passport within 48 hours. In fact, less. Just over 24. No, it'd be 48 hours. 48 hours. Wasn't it beautiful that the guy handling the paperwork in terms of clearance and everything else was a guy who knew me really well. And I hesitate to say adores me. Do you think that was a gift? Yeah, I think so. So I looked at all the good in the day, and then I looked at the other side and went, I always say to people, one of the things I try and think about is 5 years from now, will it really matter? You see, I think 5 years from now it really will matter to Laurie that I came. I don't think that she will forget that. I don't think anybody would. But it's not why I did it. But it's how I cope. Was there some fear that my office could have said, you can't go? Well, I must admit my first plan was to actually phone and try and get somebody to go and take her a battery. But the people I phoned were very quick to remind me that it could well be an alternator, not just a battery. And that was a good point. So there were lots of plan Bs and Cs in my head I could still have gone to. But the one that really made my decision was, what about the person sitting in the car? Obviously frustrated, obviously very angry with the world now. Because human nature says that she's sitting there going, what else can go wrong? Type thinking. So way before anything else, my thought is for the human being, not for the situation. And that's how I cope. And I think some of you know that I have a personal motto in my life. And it is the way I live my life. It's my creed to myself. And I'm going to repeat it because some of you may never have heard me talk about it. And it's important to repeat it every now and then. Because then you will understand why I do some of the things I do. And what I said, I wrote my own epitaph. They always say, live your life so that you can have the epitaph you want written on your tombstone. And what I said was, here lies Sal, who cares enough to share, shares enough to make a meaningful difference, and by so doing, became a gentle giant inside. And when I went to bed last night and I asked myself, did I care enough to share? Yep. Did I share enough today to make a meaningful difference? Yep. In which case, I can sleep well. And I did. This is Dear Mama Sal, saying bye for now.